Good day! Welcome back to Mathusay Math 9 Lesson 2B tutorial. In this lesson, we will solve quadratic equations by factoring. When you were in grade 8, you've learned different techniques in factoring algebraic expressions, like factoring out the greatest common factor of a given polynomial. Second, factoring the difference of two squares. In general, if you have an expression na kung saan ang A and B are perfect squares and it is in the form of A squared minus B squared, it can be factored as the quantity of A minus B times A plus B. Pangatlo, you've learned how to factor the square of a binomial. If you have a perfect square trinomial, then it can be factored as the square of binomial. In general, if we have a perfect square trinomial like a squared plus 2ab plus b, ang middle term ay twice the product of the binomial's first and last term. So, pwede siyang i-factor into the quantity of a plus b squared. The same rule applies to a squared minus 2ab plus b squared, which is or can be factored as the quantity of a minus b squared. At ang panghuli ay ang factoring trinomial. In this method, we will use the reverse FOIL method. In this technique pala, mag-iisip tayo ng factors ng C, particularly ng C, na kapag in-add natin, makukuha natin yung middle term, which is the bx. So, may dalawang case, if A is equal to 1 and A is greater than 1. All these techniques that you have learned when you were in grade 8 will be used in solving quadratic equations by factoring. So let's begin. To solve quadratic equations by factoring, the following steps can be followed. Number 1, transform the quadratic equation into standard form if necessary. Kapag naka-standard form na siya, there's no need for you to rewrite it in standard form. Number 2, factor the quadratic expression. So, you can use any of those techniques na ating ni-recall kanina. Number 3, we have to apply the zero product property by setting each factor of the quadratic expression equal to 0. Number 4, solve each resulting equations. And lastly, check the values of the variables obtained by substituting each in the original equation. Let's take example number 1. Find the solutions of the equation x squared plus 7x equals 0 by factoring. In this example, we don't have a constant term. We can factor it by pulling out the greatest common factor. So the greatest common factor for this expression, x squared plus 7x is x. So pwede natin i-pull out si x para ma-factor natin yung given expression. So ang magiging factor is x times the quantity of x plus 7 equals 0. Now, we have two equations. We have to apply the zero product property. Ang isa, x equals 0, at ang isa naman ay x plus 7 equals 0. Then we have to solve for x. For x equals 0, there's no need for you to solve for x because we know already that x is 0. For x plus 7 equals 0, we have to add negative 7 to both sides of the equation. By adding negative 7 to both sides of the equation, ang naiwan sa left side is x at ang naiwan sa right side na of the equation is negative 7. Therefore, the solutions of the equation x squared plus 7x equals 0 ay 0 at negative 7. Now, let's check if our solutions are correct. Now, take note, kapag isa-substitute natin si x equals 0 sa ating original equation na x squared plus 7x equals to 0, kung isa-substitute natin yan siya, 0 squared is still 0. 7 times 0 is still 0. So, ibig sabihin, the equation holds true. If we substitute negative 7 naman, negative 7 squared is positive 49. Positive 7 times the negative 7 is negative 49. So, 49 minus 49 is still 0. Hence, the solution, which is 7, negative 7, is a solution. It holds true in the equation x squared plus 7x equals 0. So, yan yung mga solutions for x squared plus 7x equals 0. Example number 2. Solve the equation for x squared minus 49 equals 0. As we can see, the 49 and 4 are perfect squares. So, among the techniques that we have recalled, we can factor it by getting the difference of the two squares. So, dahil 4x squared minus 49 is in the form of a squared minus b squared, so ibig sabihin, pwede nating i-factor siya in this way. The quantity of a minus b times a plus b. So, ang una natin gagawin is kunin natin ang square root ng 4 at square root ng 49. Ang square root ng 4 is 2. Diba? So, ang square root naman ng 49 is 7. So, pwede nating isulat ang factor ng 4x squared minus 49 equals 0 as the quantity of 2x minus 7 times the quantity of 2x plus 7. Now, we can solve for the values of x. So, we have two equations. Applying the zero product property, 2x minus 7 equals 0, and isa naman, 2x plus 7 equals 0. Now, we have to add both sides of the equation by positive 7 for 2x minus 7. So, kapag nag-add tayo ng positive 7, na-cancel si 7, sa left side, naiwan is 2x. Sa right side naman is positive 7. So, to solve for x, divide both sides of the equation by 2. Then you have x is equal to 7 over 2. Yung isa namang equation, kailangan nating mag-add ng negative 7. So, when you add negative 7, ang maiiwan, 2x is equal to negative 7. Again, divide both sides of the equation by 2 dahil we want to find the value of x. Then x is equal to negative 7 over 2. Therefore, the solutions for the equation for x squared minus 49 equals 0 are x is equal to 7 over 2 or x is equal to negative 7 over 2. Let's take example number 3. Solve the equation x squared minus 10x plus 25 equals 0. In this example, we have a perfect square trinomial na kung saan kapag kinuha natin yung factors ng x squared at 25 at minultiply natin by 2, you will get the middle term which is the negative 10x. So, in order to factor it, we will use square of a binomial. So, to factor x squared minus 10x plus 25 equals 0, kailangan nating isipin ang factors ng x squared at factors ng 25. So, ang factors ng x squared is x. Ang factors naman ng 25 ay 5. So, kapag kinumbine natin si negative 5 at x, so you'll get negative 5x. And you multiplied it by 2, you will get the middle term, which is the negative 10x, which means that the quantity of x minus 5 squared equals 0 is the factor. Actually, yung x minus 5 ay factor ng ating perfect square trinomial. Now, to solve for x, pwede nating split into 2. Pareho lang yan. So, since we have the same factor, which is x minus 5, so we can add both sides of the equation by positive 5. So, the value of x is equal to 5. Kung mapapansin nyo, in this case, we only have one solution, which is 5. So, if you remember, in the previous lesson, solving quadratic equation by extracting square root, kapag ang k natin is equal to 0, there's only one real root. So in this case, nag-iisa lang ang solution na 5 for the equation x squared minus 10x plus 25 equals 0. Let's take example number 4. Find the roots of the equation x squared minus 8x plus 15 equals 0. Sa example na ito, we will apply the reverse FOIL method. And we know na madaling mag-factor nito dahil ang value ng a is just equal to 1. So to do this, we have to think of the factors of 15 na kung saan when we add the factors, you will get negative 8x. So, let's start. So again, we have to think of the factors ng 15 na kung saan kapag in-add natin, dapat makuha natin ang negative 8. Now, ano ba ang mga factors ng 15? So, you have 1 and 15, 5 and 3. Now, which of these pairs of factors na pag in-add natin, makukuha natin yung 8? So, we know that we can have 5 and 3. Now, since negative si 8, so dapat negative din si negative 3 at negative 5. Now that we know ang factors ng 15 and we double check doon sa middle term na ang 3, negative 3 and negative 5 pag kinombine natin is negative 8. So the factors of x squared minus 8x plus 15 is the quantity of x minus 3 times the quantity of x minus 5 equals 0. So this time, we can solve for the values of x. So we have two equations, again by applying the zero product property. Now, we have x minus 3 equals 0. Ang isa naman, x minus 5 equals 0. So, we have to add both sides of the equation ng positive 3. So, to get the value of x which is equal to 3. So, yung isa naman, x minus 5, you have to add 5, positive 5 to both sides of the equation. Now, to simplify this, you will have x equals 5. Therefore, the solutions of the equation x squared minus 8x plus 15 equals 0 ay 5 and 5 or 3. Let's take example number 5. Solve the equation 2x squared plus 10x plus 12 equals 0. As you can see, the value of A is greater than 1, but the 10 and 12 can be divided by 2, so we can reduce the equation. We will still use the reverse FOIL method to factor this equation. So to factor this, so kailangan muna nating i-divide both sides of the equation by the value of A, which is 2. So kapag i-divide natin siya by 2, you will have x squared plus 5x plus 6 equals 0. Now, we have a reduced equation, mas simple at mas madaling i-factor. Now, we have to think of a factors ng 6 na kung saan kapag in-add natin, dapat makuha natin yung middle term which is 5. So, ano ba ang factors ng 6? We know na ang factors ng 6 ay 1 and 6, 2 and 3. Alin doong factors ang pwede nating gamitin para kung when you add, you will get 5. So, the factors that we can use are 3 and 2. So, ibig sabihin, 3 times 2 is 6. But when you add, you will get the middle term, which is 5. So, the factor of that expression is the quantity of x plus 3 times the quantity of x plus 2. Now, this time, dahil factored form na siya, we can find the values of x. Now, we have two equations. X plus 3 equals 0. Ang isa naman ay x plus 2 equals 0. To solve for x, sa x plus 3, you have to add negative 3 to both sides of the equation. So, the value of x is negative 3. For x plus 2, you have to add both sides of the equation by negative 2. So, kapag nag-add tayo ng negative 2, the value of x is negative 2. So, in this case, the solution for the equation 2x squared plus 10x plus 2 equals 0 ay negative 3 or negative 2. Example number 6. Solve the equation 3x squared minus 10x minus 25 equals 0. In this example, a is greater than 1. So, you cannot also reduce the given equation dahil si 10 at si negative 25 are not divisible by 3. So, we will be using reverse FOIL method and do some trial and error. So, to factor 3x squared minus 10x minus 25 equals 0, so kailangan nating isipin ang factors ng 3x squared at ng 25. Dapat kapag in-add natin siya, dapat yung factors, dapat makuha natin si negative 10x. So, ang factors ng 3x squared ay 3x and x. Now, we have to think of the factors of 25. Ano ba ang factors ng 25? So, you can have these pairs. 1 and 25, 5 and 5. So, we will be using 5, positive 5, and negative 5 in this case. Bakit? So, when you try to multiply negative 5 by positive 5, alam natin na negative 25 na. So, yung concern na lang natin is the middle term. So, let's check. 5 times x is 5x. 3x times the negative 5 is negative 15x. So, when you combine that, you will have negative 10x. That's why we pick positive 5 and negative 5. So, therefore, the factors of 3x squared minus 10x minus 25 is the quantity of 3x plus 5 times the quantity of x minus 5. So we can now solve the values of x. We have two equations. 3x plus 5 equals 0 at x minus 5 equals 0. Now we will be applying the zero product property in this case. So to get the values of x, so for 3x plus 5, we have to add negative 5 to both sides of the equation. So you'll have x is equal to 5 over 3. So bakit kaya naging 5 over 3? Kasi you have negative 5 on the right side, but you still have 3x. So you have to divide both sides of the equation by 3. So the value of x is negative 5 over 3. On the other side, we have x minus 5 equals 0. So you have to add positive 5 to both sides of the equation. So you'll have the value of x is equal to positive 5. So in this case, we have two solutions. So the solutions are negative 5 over 3 or 5. Now, in this case, medyo challenging siya kasi you have to really do trial and error in factoring. But I have an alternative solution na kung saan medyo may direction yung solving natin. But it's too lengthy. But nonetheless, you have a clear direction on where are you going to go at kung ano yung mga solutions na makukuha natin. So, let's take a look at this alternative solution. So, to solve the same equation, which is 3x squared minus 10x minus 25 equals 0, so we have to get the values of a and c. So, yung values ng a and c sa equation nito ay 3 and negative 25. Then, we multiply this. So, you'll have negative 75. Now, we have to think of the factors ng 75. Negative 75. Ano ba ang mga factors ng negative 75? Tapos, iti-take natin si middle term, which is the negative 10. Now, we will think of the factors ng negative 75 na kung saan kapag in-add natin, dapat ang sagot is negative 10. So, what are the factors of negative 75? We can consider 5 and negative 15. Kasi 5 times negative 15, it's negative 75. But when you add negative 15 with positive 5, you'll get negative 10. So, factors yun siya ng negative 75 at sum siya ng negative 10. So, this time, ang gagawin natin, kailangan natin i-copy si 3x squared. No, ngayon, itong 5 at negative 15, gagawin natin ay i-add natin siya sa middle term. So, we copy the negative 25 equals 0. So, again, yung factors ni 75, negative 75, ay i-add natin sa middle term. So, we have to have 5x and negative 15. Kung titignan natin, yung negative 15x at positive 5x ay pareho lang sa negative 10x. So, kumbaga, sineparate lang natin. Now, in this case, pwede tayong mag-regroup. So, we will regroup the equation 3x squared plus 5x minus 15 into minus 25 equals 0 into 3x squared minus 15x plus 5x minus 25 equals 0. So, ang purpose ng regrouping is that we pull out the greatest common factor. So, in this case, we can pull out sa 3x squared minus 15x ay 3x para ang maiwan ay the quantity of x minus 5. Sa kabila naman, you can pull out positive 5. So, ang may iwan ay x minus 5 equals 0. Kung mapapansin ninyo, common ang factor na x minus 5. So, we can regroup this again into this. So, the factors can be 3x plus 5 times the quantity of x minus 5 equals 0. So now, we arrive at the same factor without having difficulty on thinking kung ano ba talaga ang factors ng 25 at 3x squared na kung saan dapat ang middle term ay negative 10x. So, we can now solve for the values of x. So again, we have two equations to deal with. By applying the zero product property, 3x plus 5 equals 0. Ang isa naman, x minus 5 equals 0. Now, 3x plus 5, you have to add negative 5 to both sides of the equation. So, the value of x, again, is negative 5 over 3. On the other side, so you have to add positive 5 to both sides of the equation. So, ang sagot ay positive 5. So, therefore, the solution are negative 5 over 3 and positive 5. So again, the challenge here is that kapag ang A is greater than 1, you really have to do trial and error. But in this alternative solution, you can multiply A by C, then you think of the factor, tapos magre-regrouping tayo to factor the given expression. Please pause the video and try these exercises. Don't forget to type your answers on the comment section. Solve the following quadratic equations by factoring. If this video helps you solve quadratic equations by factoring, please give it a thumbs up, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Remember, ang sikreto para maging mathusay, matuto, at mag-ensayo. See you all on the next lesson. Bye!